Hi, ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders. Welcome to another episode of Weekly Forex Outlook with Chat Engineering Pro. We really appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video, and we don't take you for granted at all. If you haven't yet subscribed or you are new to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content we post here. And if you find value with what we share with you here, be sure to like, drop your comments, share your views, and then share this video to your fellow traders or anyone who would find this information useful. Without wasting much time, let's have a quick recap of last week's setups as we discussed in our previous video before we dive into next week's analysis. We have here gold. So finally gold has been able to make its way to its new all-time high around the $3,600 per ounce, and this was predicted, I think, about 3 or 4 episodes ago. This buy was predicted about 3 or 4 episodes ago, so you can go back and make some reference to what we shared previously and see how this trade actually played out. So for where gold is currently, it's at the new all-time high, so I would like to be on the sidelines and then wait for some more price action to see or to determine our decision on whether to continue longing gold or whether we would find selling opportunities from where it currently is to come and retest any of these areas or areas of resistance. So on to the next. We had this setup from last week, which is USDCHF, for which we called this sell. We called this sell from last week, and then we're anticipating to get another entry, but the confirmations we had here was not too solid, so we didn't get any second entry with this trade. So we kept holding the previous one that we were holding from the last 2 episodes. So we are still in this trade, and we hope for the best. Then we had this setup on CAD CHF. So CAD CHF made its way to our area of interest, and we're expecting price to shift structure on the daily time frame, to shift this daily structure and then give us a pullback to form something like a head and shoulder. But when the formation was playing out, it actually just dipped crazily because of NFP. So we actually missed out on this crazy sell that we predicted from last week's video. So going into next week, should we get any pullback to this area of interest and get any selling confirmations, we can look out for selling opportunities around this zone to take this sell to the downside to this TP we have here. So that's it for CAD CHF. Then we had this setup also for EURCAD from last week, where we were actually at our area of interest and we're expecting price to pull back to give us some more confirmations, but the confirmations we had later was not too clear, so this trade we actually missed it and we didn't take it. So but it actually played out perfectly as we anticipated. They went to hit the TP exactly as we predicted it. We also have GBPCHF. Sorry. So GBPCHF, we are anticipating a butterfly pattern, and we're expecting price to either react from this first zone or this second zone. So price went all the way down to react from the second zone. So currently we've broken the daily structure, which has confirmed the daily bullishness of this trade. So for the coming week, we will look for a higher low, a possible higher low into this zone, somewhere around this 4-hour structure level, or somewhere back into this zone, and look for buying opportunities to complete this butterfly pattern. So we are still bullish on GBPCHF for the coming week. We also had this setup for S&P 500, and we're expecting price to pull back to this area of interest or this second one. Price actually pulled back to the second area of interest, and give us this morning star formation, but the bullish candle was so strong or so big. If you try to take this trade, the risk to reward ratio wouldn't make any sense. So we were expecting price to pull back a little bit deeper to get another opportunity, but the pullback didn't come that deep, and price continued to rally to the upside. So we actually missed out on this trade, even though it played out perfectly as we were expecting. So let's have a quick look at the economic calendar for the coming week. So for next week, on Monday and Tuesday, there's no high impact news for these 2 days. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have the core PPI for USD. And then on Thursday, we're going to have 2 big news events, one on the euro and one on the US dollar. For the euro, we have the main refinancing rate and then the monetary policy statement, which is a very volatile news. And then we also have the CPI for USD at the same time, around the same time. It's just a 15-minute interval. And most of the time, if it happens like this, should I say, the USD news sometimes overpowers the other currencies news. So let's be on the lookout for euro pairs and USD pairs on Thursday. They are happening around the same time. There's just a 15-minute interval. So let's pay attention to that on Thursday. And on Friday, we have the GBPGDP. And then we also have the USD prelim consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. So this is what we have for the economic calendar for the coming week. So let's jump into the charts. So we have here DXY, and as we've been looking at for about 4 weeks now, DXY has just been playing around these 2 zones and has just been consolidating around these 2 zones. So for the coming week, we are still going to look at for the same setups we have been talking about from weeks past, and then so we'll only consider DXY bearish if we are able to break out of this zone and get a retest and continue the sell downside, or we get any buying confirmations within this zone and buy from this zone to the upside, break this zone, get another retest and continue upside. So we are still neutral for the DXY. We have here EURUSD. EURUSD is also still neutral, doesn't yet declared or given us any clear direction that it wants to take. So we're expecting price to either break above this zone and or break below the zone. And as we can see, the price just wicked the zone, which looks more like a liquidity grab. So we wouldn't consider that as a break, since the candle didn't close above the zone. We wouldn't consider it as a valid break to the upside. So for the coming week, we are either going to wait for a daily candle closure above the zone, get a retest and buy to the upside, or wait for price to break below the zone below and give us the bearish confirmations or a retest so we can continue selling to the downside. So we are still neutral for Euro USD for the coming week. So we just have to wait for the market to give us some more price action to take our decisions. We have here GBPUSD, and GBPUSD is also very neutral. So for the coming week, we're either going to wait for a daily candle closure above this zone, get a retest and continue the buying to the upside, target this first TP and our second TP at the top for GBPUSD. So we will only be bearish if we get a clean daily candle closure below this zone and get a retest and sell to the downside. So we are still neutral for the GBPUSD. Let's wait for market to do its own thing and then we can decide from there. We have here NZDUSD. NZDUSD on a weekly perspective is very bearish. On a daily perspective is also very bearish. And price is currently retested an area of interest. So going forward into next week, what we'll be expecting is a possible reversal pattern playing out around this zone. That's the first scenario. A possible reversal pattern like a double top or head and shoulder then we look for selling opportunities to the downside. That's scenario 1. And then scenario 2, we'll be expecting price to break this, come all the way and break this daily structure, break the daily structure, give us a retest, or get a deeper pullback to the upside and then sell to the downside. So it's two options. Either it retests the daily structure here, or it goes a bit deeper before it drops. So I'm very bearish on NZDUSD. So NZDUSD will only be considered bullish if it violates this zone and violates this structural high above here. So if it breaks above something like this and comes for a retest, then we'll be very convinced that NZDUSD is bullish. We have here Australia AUDUSD. So AUDUSD has played out as a 4-hour cipher pattern, which is also a reversal pattern. So going forward into next week, price might either continue the buy to the upside. Price might just react from this zone where it currently is, or retest this 4-hour structural highs or resistance, 10 supports, and then continue their buys into the shark pattern PRZ or potential reversal zone, or we'll wait for price to break below this daily structural low. So wait for price to break below this daily structural low, give us a retest, and then we sell to the downside. So let's wait for price to develop some more to take our decision on AUDUSD. We have here USDJPY. So this is a daily time frame for USDJPY. So USDJPY is actually playing out as a daily butterfly pattern. So this is the pattern that we are looking out for. This is our X, this is our A, this is our B leg, this is our C leg, and we're anticipating the D leg, which is above here at 168.000. So USDJPY, we are looking forward to some more bullishness on USDJPY. So this is the pattern that we are looking out for on USDJPY. It's a daily time frame butterfly pattern, and so when we drop down to the smaller time frame, we'll be more interested in buying opportunities. So we'll wait for price to come and tap into this order block we have here. If we get that tap and price breaks above and gives us another retest on this zone, then we can take our buys. So we'll wait for price to come and trigger this area, break above, come for a retest, then we'll look for our buys. So we're going to use this as our entry, this line as our entry, SL below this structural point, and then we target this as our TP. So it can only be violated if price breaks below this and gives us a pullback and then continues to the downside. But then I'm very bullish on USDJPY, looking at the current possible harmonic pattern that is developing. We also have here EURJPY. EURJPY on a weekly perspective on a monthly perspective is bullish, weekly perspective is bullish, daily perspective is bullish. So what we can do is to go with the flow or go with the trend. So we are going to look for buying opportunities. So going into next week, we'll be expecting price to pull back into this area of interest, where we'll look for buying opportunities to buy to the upside, having this area, this high as our first TP and our second TP at this high. So we are very bullish on EURJPY. We have here AUDJPY. AUDJPY is also very bullish. So going into next week, we are going to expect a pullback into this zone, get bullish confirmations, and then we buy to this target. So we're also very bullish on AUDJPY. So I'm very bullish on most of the JPY pairs for the coming week. We have here EURAUD. So EURAUD is extremely bullish now, and we currently have price in our area of interest. So we'll be looking forward to some more price action where we likely want to see maybe an inverse head and shoulder, get a retest, or a right shoulder, and then we continue the buys to the upside. So we currently have this is the left shoulder, this is the head. So you're waiting for a possible right shoulder, then we take the buy to the upside. So I'm very bullish on Euro AUD. So this will be our first target here at this high, and our second target at the next TP we have here. So I'm very bullish on Euro AUD for the coming week. We have here EURNZD, which also is also forming, giving us another harmonic pattern formation on the 1 hour time frame. It's currently developing something like either a bat pattern, an alt bat pattern, or a crab pattern. So price has actually given us our X, A, B, C, and we are looking forward to the continuation, which is our D leg. And price is currently in our area of interest, so we're going to wait for a reversal pattern within this zone here. Apparently on 1 hour time frame, it has given us a structural shift already, indicating that it wants to go bullish. So for the coming week, if we get any lower high, we get any bullish confirmations around here, looking like a possible right shoulder, and we get a bullish confirmation, we break upside, come and retest, and then we continue the buys to the upside. Or we can wait for price to develop something like a double bottom and then continue to the upside. Price can equally drop a bit further to this second zone below here, which would change the whole structure, which will change the whole harmonic pattern that we've identified. So we'll be looking forward to these two areas to get our buys to the upside for EURNZD. We have here we have GBPNZD. So last week we were anticipating price to pull back to any of these two zones to give us bullish confirmations to the upside, but it looks like price actually found a support around this zone, and we already reacted from there, and on the daily time frame it has already shifted bullish. So going into next week, we are looking forward to a possible right shoulder or a possible C leg for this possible or potential harmonic pattern. So this is our X, we have our X, we have our A, we have our B, we're waiting for our C and our D leg to continue. So these are the various targets. We have our bat pattern, potential reversal zone, alt bat pattern, and all the crab pattern. So this will be the ultimate target for this buy to the upside. So what we're going to be looking out for is price to drop a bit further into this area of interest that we've identified, give us a bullish confirmation, then we take the buys from here to the upside. So I'm bullish on GBPNZD. So should price break this, clear this low, should price clear this low and break all the way back into the actual area of interest that we're looking for it to buy to, we're also going to wait and hold or stand by and wait for price to come back to this original zone, and then we get our buys from here to the upside. So you are either going to wait for the confirmation at this very first zone to continue the buys, or we wait for price to drop further to the initial zone we're expecting it to drop into to buy. This setup is very similar to that of AUDNZD that we discussed in our previous videos, I think episode 2 or something like that. Yeah, which price never made its way to the expected area of interest that we wanted to buy from, but actually found a support somewhere above, and then gave us a nice formation and took off to the upside. So we're looking forward to the first confirmation here, or a further drop into the second zone, and take the buys from there for GBPNZD. We also have GBPAUD. We had a setup from last week where we're expecting price to either react from this first zone or the second zone. So price actually came to the second zone and gave us this morning star confirmation. And so going into next week, we are going to look at two scenarios. We are either going to look out for a possible double bottom here, break it, get a retest of the neckline, and continue to the upside. This being our first target, or yes, we're just going to have this as our first target, and the second target above. And the second option we have for this buys is if we are able to get price to shift this daily structure. If price breaks this daily structure here, breaks it, comes for a retest or gives us a higher low, which will make it look like an inverse head and shoulder, we can take our buys from here to the upside equally. So we're going to wait for some more price action for price to give us more confirmations, whether we're going to get a double bottom or we're going to get a structural shift to develop something like an inverse head and shoulder to take our longs. So I'm bullish on GBPAUD currently. Price can only be bearish if it breaks this lows with a weekly candle and then continues to drop to the downside. But until then, we are still very bullish on GBPAUD for the coming week. We have here GBPCHF. So GBPCHF, we're actually sorry, price looks bearish, but I'm seeing a little twist to this whole setup. So I'm going to talk about the bearish scenario first. So if we're going to see this continue to the downside, we'll be expecting price to pull back to this structure, this 4-hour structure, and give us a bearish confirmation. So bearish opportunities around this zone here, and continue the sell to the downside, where this will be our TP1, this will be our TP2. And then the twist here is price can likely form an inverse head and shoulder where it is right now, and it's going to develop something totally different, like a harmonic pattern that I'll show you soon. So price can equally buy upside, break above, come for a retest, and continue buying to the upside. And this will give us a possible inverse head and shoulder. Let me identify the inverse head and shoulder. So this is our left shoulder. This will be our head. This will be our possible right shoulder. Should price reverse from where it is right now, which is also very possible, and price breaks above, gives us a retest, and then we're going to have this inverse head and shoulder. So the actual pattern that's we've identified here, should this inverse head and shoulder develop, is a 4-hour bat pattern, which we have our X, our A, B leg, possible C leg, and then D, for which we will have this as our first target. If you know you can't hold the trade for long, you can just target this high as your first TP, or you hold to the bat pattern potential reversal zone, or the bat pattern potential reversal zone, which would be like our TP3, yes, or the ultimate, and that's the TP4. But then our advice, that's the max you go, you should hold, should probably be either the bat or the alt bat pattern to just play it safe. So we have these two scenarios for GBPCHF. So we have here EURCHF, which is also very bullish. So for the coming week, just as we identified on GBP CHF, price can either give us clear this high and give us an inverse head and shoulder, or this strong bearish momentum we see here can reverse and give us a right shoulder, give us a pullback to the neckline we have here, and continue the buy to the upside. Or price can also come all the way down to this zone and give us a double bottom here, give us a double bottom, break above, and maintaining this as our neckline, break above, get us a retest, and continue to the upside. So I'm very bullish on EURCHF. Price will only be bearish if we get a daily candle closure below this zone and break, give us a retest, break again, give us a retest, and keep going downside. That's the only way I'll consider EURCHF as bearish. But from going forward for the coming week, I'm very bullish on EURCHF. We have here Brent crude oil, or the UK oil. Finally, Brent crude oil has given us a bearish commitment, which we are anticipating for I think 2 weeks now or 3 weeks now. We're expecting price to pull back to this area of interest to give us selling opportunities, and our price has nicely confirmed or committed itself to indicate that it wants to go bearish. So for the coming week, we're looking forward to a possible pullback to this area or this area, or a retest of this daily structure, or a retest of this possible left shoulder, and then give us sell to the downside. We look for selling opportunities from those areas to the downside, targeting $60.457 per barrel as our first TP, and our second TP will be $55.651 per barrel for Brent crude oil for the coming week. So we are very bearish on the Brent crude oil. This can only be invalidated if we break above the zone and then continue to the upside. But until then, we are very bearish on crude oil, Brent crude oil for the coming week. We have here the FTSE 100 or UK 100. So UK 100 is currently developing a possible harmonic pattern. So we'll be expecting price to drop all the way to this zone, this first zone, or this second zone, any of them, the second zone, and give us bullish confirmations to the upside. So we can ignore this for now. So we are expecting price to pull back to this first zone, give us bullish confirmations, and then take the buy to the upside. So this will be a possible harmonic pattern we'll be looking forward to. We're looking forward to this our B, a possible C around here, and then our D to the upside. So I'm very bullish on the UK 100 for the coming week. And we have our last index for the week, which is the JPN 225 or the Nikkei 225. So Nikkei 225 is also currently forming something like a godly pattern, for which we are expecting price to pull back to this zone, give us bullish confirmations, and buy to this any of these two targets. So this is the actual pattern that we have identified, which is this is our B, this is our possible C, and then our D leg. So I'm bullish on the Japanese or JPN 225 Nikkei. Thank you so much for sticking through to this video. I really appreciate you for taking the time to be here, and I'll entreat you to manage your risk properly, trade wisely, and then trade safe. I wish you a fruitful and a very profitable week ahead, and take good care of yourself, and I'll catch you on another episode. Take care. Bye bye.